In order to be a good lighting designer, we need to know how to observe lighting. In a museum setting, artifacts are usually lit through mutable light sources. In this exercise, we are going to use these objects to practice how to observe the light source. Where do they come from, and what are their functions? Looking at this white cat, I see a very clear shadow, very dark, on the left side of the cat. If I look at the opposite direction of the shadow, I will see a light source pointing at the cat. Then there's a fainter shadows on the right-hand side of the cat. And looking at the opposite direction, I see a floodlight coming from the side of the cat, projecting this faint shadow. Now, on the back side of the cat, there's a third shadow. It's even fainter than the second one. If I look up at the opposite direction of the shadow, I will see a light source very far away from this cat. Because of the distance of the light source, it's making this shadow very, very thin because its intensity dropped over distance. Now, we are breaking down each individual light source to show you what they are and how they interact with the object. Currently, there's only one light source with the clear and the crispy shadows. This is the strongest light on the cat. We call it the key light or the main light. Right now, there's another light source coming from the opposite directions of the key light. What it does is to balance off the harsh shadow coming from the key light. What you see now is the key light interacting with the field light. So it becomes softer. Backlight. Now you are seeing this backlight. What it does is making this cat more three-dimensional. Turn our lights on. This is what the three lights interacting with each other together to creating a very soft and three-dimensional lighting effect. When light hits an object, it creates shadow, reflection, and transmission. Looking at the solid cat, if you focus on the underside of the cat, it is not completely dark because there's a lot of light hitting the ground plane and reflecting back onto the underside of the cat. If we look at the translucent cat, a large part of the light is actually passing through the translucent material, hitting the ground, and reflecting back onto the cat. So you see a little highlight actually underneath, on the underside of the cat. In this situation, we have a three-dimensional metal sculpture being lit with backlight only. What I see is almost a silhouette. There's no clear distinction between each of the metal frame and their relationship within each other. Now, turn on the field light. The field light is coming from the front, but also very far away. Its flood beam doesn't really give any highlight to the sculpture. Even though I can see it more clearly as a three-dimensional object, it does not tell me very clear distinction within each member of the object. Now, with the backlight and the fill light on, I can start to see the three-dimensional relationship within all the frames. If we turn on the key light, it picks up the materiality of the sculpture. I see reflections, textures, and also very clear shadows of the frame in front casting onto the frames in the back. Without the light source on, I see very clearly the three-dimensionality of each frame. I also see very interesting shadows in the background. As a lighting designer, how would you light this piece of sculpture? As an artist, how would you imagine the sculpture being lit? Would you like it more like a silhouette? More with interesting shadows? Or fully rendered, revealing the texture and the material of the sculpture?